We have ONGC's former CMD and oil and gas veteran R.S. Sharma joining us now to talk more about it. Mr. Sharma, the focus is now on upstream exploration. We've heard it before, but now it appears market is pricing in a lot of reform work is likely to happen. Look at ONGC. You and I have always discussed a lot of deep value in it, but now it is coming back to levels last seen 10 years back. Do you think that government's new policies can unlock a lot of volume, and hence ONGC and Oil India could be vehicles of that?
Well, firstly, thank you very much for inviting me to your show. And I need to compliment the government for the intent. I'm using the word intent. I'll come to the what is being done. Intent has always been very good. I have been tracking the sector for last 2.5 decades. Ever since this open acreage licensing policy was announced, I was post-retirement in 2011. I was also member of Kelkar committee, which put out a report roadmap for oil and gas industry 2030, and other things also. I'll not go into what all I did. I find all along the intent has been very positive. But unfortunately, when it comes to the execution, somehow the things have not been on expected lines. I personally interacted with the global CEOs of the oil majors. And initially, when OLP open acreage licensing policy was launched, we used to have huge response. Almost 100 plus bids used to come, but now you see all those bids have dried up. What is the reason? Intent was there earlier, intent is still there, but the ground realities, unfortunately, are not good enough. Maybe the minister has to be given those ground realities to see that things actually start moving. Some big ticket reforms are required, which have not been happening despite the assurances coming. So that I would put the reason minister said there's a large area untapped. I believe definitely so. Post-retirement, I was also chairing FICCI Hydrocarbon Committee for almost 8-9 years. There we did a lot of policy advocacy. I personally spent time with Niti Aayog, with Mr. Amitabh Kant, to support them, but all big ticket reforms are needed. But unfortunately, things have not moved on the expected lines, and I do not know how to bring back those global investors to come and invest in the exploration sector. I must say one more thing. Exploration is a highly, highly capital intensive activity, and the results are not known. Most of the times, you do the survey, you do exploratory drilling, you drill a well for $500 million, and $100 million or so, you come the results, the well goes dry. The company has no option but to charge it off. Then the company looks that in case of a success, they also should be entitled for windfall gains. That has not been happening. You know that the policy reforms, there has to be stability in the fiscal regime. That has not been happening. You take the gas, GST on gas does not get removed despite repeated assurances coming from the policymakers, ministers. And other things also, if the time permit, I'll mention what all big ticket reforms are needed. Personally, I sat with Amitabh Kant. I gave him the note, sat with his team, told these and these and these things are needed. Few of them have been done, but not what all is needed. Big ticket reform is not there. I'll just mention one thing. Exploration, I mentioned, is highly capital intensive. It is not a revenue generating activity. I have been strongly saying, why not exempt exploration from the then service tax and now GST? Once the discovery is made, the company starts production, you can have your all the the revenues and taxes and all. Everybody agrees to what I say. Yes, exploration should be exempted, but
Right. Mr. Sharma, let's also invite Mr. MK Surana, former CMD of HPCL, in the discussion and take it forward. Mr. Surana, morning to you as well. Mr. Surana, the idea over here is to find out from the market standpoint, because it's a complex sector, the commentary yesterday, what it could mean for the sector from from our oil minister. Do you think companies such as Engineers India also be a big beneficiary of a lot of investment coming in the space? Yesterday, Engineers India shot up 10% after that commentary. Any thoughts there? Because the focus appears to be upstream right now.
No, Engineers India is a premier engineering company in the country. Rather, that is the only company which has got the full-scale integrated sector from upstream to midstream to downstream capabilities in engineering. And therefore, if the capex comes and there are new projects taken up, whether in upstream or midstream or downstream, the EIL will be a preferred beneficiary of that possibilities, because they have the engineering capability, they have the wherewithal, they have the experience, and they are probably the only company in India who has got that capacity right now.
One is talking about migration to cleaner fuels. And the government seems to be focusing on solar, the government seems to be focusing on clean energy. Do you think the focus on hydrocarbon is not going to be all that strong beyond a point, because that is not the future's fuel where you want to invest?
No, that is a bit of a problem and bit of an opportunity, in the sense that while all of us want an energy transition, all of us want greening the planet, but the fact of life is, and the reality is, that it will take time, and transition will be a bit of a turbulent path. And the importance is, how do you manage this transition from one set of sources of energy to another set of sources of energy? And it is not going to be clean cut. It has to be a lot of paralleling, and the coexistence will be a longer period in India compared to rest of the world. Now, the problem is that while everything which is being thought and aspired and wished happens, that is one part of it, but what if it doesn't go that for that? And then we may be in a crisis as far as energy requirement of the country is concerned. And therefore, and the second point is that you need a lot of money for managing this transition, because it will have its own economic maturity. And that money has to come from the growth engines which are currently there in the traditional sources of energy, rather fossil fuels, refineries, the production of crude oil, gas, etc. And we have to manage both economically as well technically, so that we are able to manage a transition which is convenient, affordable, and acceptable to the consumers ultimately. Because the policy initiative may help up to some extent, but after that, it will need a consumer community acceptability. And only the product which is convenient and affordable will survive. And therefore, it is important that we need to maintain the focus on the fossil fuel as well, while we are parallelly focusing on the greening. In fact, because of a very more than maybe say desired focus on greening, assuming that everything will become green overnight, a lot of investment has gone away from the traditional industry, and that will create a problem in near future, in my opinion. So focus is required both ways.
Right, Mr. Surana, Mr. Sharma, both of you, thank you so much for taking the time out and putting into perspective where things are for the oil and gas sector right now.
If you like this video, then like, share and subscribe to ET Now.